welcome to the Cano Pro. I'm totally not sure what episode this is. I'm just gonna stop counting because I'm like, oh, episode 18, but it's like 20. So it's like, let's not confuse people.
All right.
Welcome to the Cano Pro. Again, we have a very special guest named Tori Ellis. Classic Muskoka kid, you know, the other day. I don't know what episode it was. See, but we had a great episode talking about, you know, the struggles and the different colors we see growing up in Muskoka as a small town kid.
Very true.
We were drunk. So it was a little
a little out there.
A little out there. Maybe we'll have another refined one when Chris Carter comes back. I've been seeing him lots lately. So, and now we have another special guest who is
Allison.
Named Allison.
I'm Tori's roommate.
No last name.
You want to introduce yourself? Tell us what you do.
I'm a student.
Student?
That's literally what I do.
What are you studying?
Psychology and sociology.
Psychology and sociology. So
Yeah.
How does that work? Like major, minor wise.
Major in psychology, minor in sociology. So
Interesting.
I understand humans pretty well.
Pretty well. Yeah, do you know who Jordan Peterson is?
No, but should I?
He's Luke. Jordan Peterson's a psychologist, right? Yeah, Jordan Peterson's a famous psychologist. He's like super, super mainstream now. He teaches at U of T, but he's like super controversial. Have you heard of Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, he's like very like right-winged ideologies. Am I right?
I guess
or
you could
conservative view,
quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like you could like that's how you could categorize him, but he's an interesting guy. So anyway, sociology and psychology, what inspired that?
Well, I was science major first year.
Oh,
and
interesting.
I was not doing well, and so I was like, what else can I do? So
Were you not doing well because
I just didn't like it.
you weren't into
Like it
it?
was so boring.
It was like biomed, right?
Yeah. And
That's
I didn't
a
even want to
lot.
go to med school. So like I don't know why I was taking it. So
What was the like initial thought like going into science right after high school?
no idea.
True.
I
you
just
were
like let's figure it out. And
do you feel like you were kind of trying to fit the mold
oh yeah, for sure.
that I feel like that's such a thing
Everyone
that we struggle
expects
with.
you to do science because you get a job after.
Or it's like a nice school, or it's like, oh, when you're talking to someone at a bar and they're like, yeah, I study biomed at Ottawa U, and I'm master.
You're just like,
oh,
oh, you're fucking smart. Like, whoa.
smarter than me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's interesting. And then, but that's kind of like, do you think that's like a total 180 from science to psychology?
Well,
I mean,
I
they're
was
kind of
in-
linked.
I was in biomed and then I switched
Yeah.
into health sci and then I switched into psychology. So I did 2 programs before. So it is a 180, but like I'm still studying like neuroscience and stuff still.
Oh,
so
super. Have you heard of Sam Harris?
no, oh my god, I suck at my program.
That is so funny. No, he's a psychologist who, I don't know if he majored in psychology, but he, right there,
There's a hair.
pull it out. He either majored or minored in neuroscience, as well as taking maybe his math. I don't know how the hierarchy works. But super interesting guy too. Because he took neuroscience. I don't know what would that be like. Are you majoring or like how does neuroscience fall within your?
It's just so that you understand how people operate in a way, I guess.
But through like scientific method.
Yeah. So like
True.
right down to like the chemicals. So when you're excited, what chemicals are like going through your head and stuff. And
That's super, super interesting. So are you on like the forefront of doing that research at your school?
no. I'm second year, so
Oh.
no.
No, but you're doing
True.
some cool research projects right now.
Yeah, but they're all like hypothetical, like you don't actually get to try it out. But
That's how you get started, though. And you have like some pretty dope ideas. So like,
I don't know, mine's just really basic. It's just like
talk about it.
it's just like how social media influences like girls' self-worth and
This
everything.
is a great topic. Super interesting. So like how explain that? How do they study? How do they test that?
Like we would do like interviews with a bunch of high school girls and just follow them from like grade 9 to grade 12 and just stay updated with them and how they would on like a scale of 1 to 10, how would they identify with certain questions.
So it's all questions, all interview questions. It's all psychology. It's not really like, lobotomizing.
Well, like you could, but like you could, but like that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And if you propose a research project with it, they won't let you do that because it's like super expensive, and
True.
school doesn't want to give out money.
In the like practice of psychology, could you guys do a study where you like do more like I guess like hypothetical work where you're interviewing people and then later follow up that study with actual like scientific, like doing MRIs of these young girls' brains and finding out like what parts of their brains are more active and things like that? Like, is that more logical than just proposing like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this massive multi-billion-dollar study? Like, do you think it's more feasible?
I feel like it could happen. I don't know if it actually has and stuff. Like,
I think that's the interesting topic to explore too, like the connection between biology and psychology, because that's kind of the gray area we're at right now. It's like, how much of a slave are you to your biology rather than you to your thoughts?
yeah.
It's kind of crazy. It's like, because we haven't really dabbled into it yet. We don't even know. We can't cut open the brain until someone's dead, right? So it's like,
Well, that's why
crazy.
you have animals, and so they do a lot of animal research.
I'm
but-
with PETA. And I'm pissed. Anyway, so you're in the second year.
Yeah,
So you got 2 more years?
hopefully.
Are you going to do your master's?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Still don't know what I want to do. So
Are you going to do your master's?
I'm keeping the option open.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do, like, for me right now, it's going to be not right after I graduate,
Yeah.
but it might be something I'm, like, interested in exploring just because, like, I love learning.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, any time that you're, like,
So
furthering
do
your
you
education.
enjoy school? You're a fan
I do,
of school?
but I'm not a fan of, like, certain aspects of school. And, like, I have to find the balance between, like, sometimes I don't like having to produce a piece of work just simply to have it for a deadline. Does that make sense? Like, I like to be inspired by a piece of work and not have it like, oh, you have to write a paper on these basic topics and try and come
you
up
want
with
to
something.
spark your curiosity?
Yeah, like I want to be able to like explore something on my own, which is what's really appealing to me about a master's degree. Like
Yeah.
you propose your topic and then you find a prof who's like supportive of what you're trying to study, and then you just like spend a year or two doing it.
True. That's how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm so ignorant to all of this. So it's not like you're in a group or you're in a classroom with a bunch of undergrads.
I mean, I think it probably depends on your program too.
yeah, because like you can do like a master's in like anything, but if
Yeah.
you're doing like research masters, I think you do what you said. But I don't know if you're doing for like med school or law is that a master's? That's like another degree, but that's
Yeah.
like classroom setting, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you're furthering your studies in for sure. Because if you're doing like an MD, it's just a medical doctorate, right? So you're still furthering your. But it is different because you're just learning in like a classroom setting. But I think mostly like when you're doing your master's, you still attend classes to a certain extent. At our school, like in my program, a lot of students in their master's degrees like go and TA classes. So you like go and like help out a prof. So you get like, kind of like a mix of both, I guess. But I don't know how many like classes you actually take. It'd be seminar based. So you like go in, your prof is like, okay, you were supposed to read these like 500 pages for this class, discuss. So it's a lot more like a lot smaller classes and things like that, but it's a lot more one-on-one with your prof, I think.
It's much more specific too, though, right? Okay, so go back to what you were talking about. No, super interesting about the social media and young females' perceptions of the world of themselves.
Yeah.
So what have you found so far?
Well, a lot of the research is from like before 2010, and so they're like Facebook is like the main contributor, but like who uses Facebook these
Wow,
days?
true. I didn't even think that'd be an obstacle, but I guess that totally is. We live in the microwave era where everything's like just go, go, go.
Yeah.
We don't have enough information to like understand what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
So with like the study, you can like from grade 9 to grade 12, social media would change. Because I know Facebook was huge when I was in grade 9, and then by grade 12,
it's over.
like no one uses it.
Losers use Facebook, all right?
People over 30 use Facebook.
It's
True.
true. It's true.
I use Facebook. I don't use anything else, to be totally honest with you. I
Really?
use Snapchat, but like I don't
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
not,
use
you're not,
it. I don't
you're not like
use
a
it.
constant
I'm
like
not-
180-second story poster on
Yes,
Snapchat.
Exactly. But like I go on it. I don't use Instagram ever. I don't use Twitter ever. But I don't care about people's lives.
Yeah,
See
I feel
that?
like that's what's
You
happening
know?
to me right now. Like I care less and less. But I also feel like that with my Facebook feed. I think I just spend more time on Facebook because there's more of a variety.
Yeah, and my Facebook, if you go through my Facebook wall, it's very not about
Random people.
in my
Yeah.
life. You know what I mean? It's like articles and I'm like reading stuff and it's not about people. So how do you overcome that lack of information?
You do like the research and I don't know. It's just hypothetical. Like, so our assumption is that like Snapchat and YouTube
Yeah.
will be like the huge contributors to it because everyone under like 15, 16 all use YouTube. But
So is that considered a social media?
technically, it's a social networking site, so it's like an SNS, so it counts as it.
So it's in the same bracket or whatever. It's under the
yeah,
same tree.
because you can still like comment and like and follow people on it.
True. So what is like the how do you categorize something as social media based on the interaction, like the ability to interact with the media, or do you know?
I don't know.
See that what do you think makes social media?
I think that has a lot to do with it because I don't know though.
Being able
because
to like connect with someone on the internet.
it's true, but I wonder if YouTube would have been considered a social media before, like in the age of viral videos when people weren't so much commenting heavily and like interacting with it, but they were still
Sending via email.
You're still interacting with
Yeah.
it. Like somebody is sitting themselves in front of a webcam and like connecting with their audience.
True.
They can't see the audience. They don't know who's going to be listening to them. So they're literally just talking to themselves, but
But
addressing.
then there's got to be something different between, because even if you're watching TV, you're still interacting with it. You can't like it or comment on it, but you're still interacting with it, right?
true.
So there's got to be some differentiation there, because TV's not social media, or like any other content that you take in is not social media.
I wonder though if it has to do with the accessibility. Like not everybody can just go on TV and be like, here's my video about my opinion on Trump.
True.
But YouTube, you can upload, anybody can upload anything. So I wonder if that has to do with it. I don't actually know. Like I have
Yeah.
no idea how they categorize social medias, but
That's true until net neutrality is over, and then
we're fucked.
Then we're fucked.
Well, people make like a living off of YouTube now. Like,
Like-
people say that that's their career.
I think that's an understatement. People are making like
Bank.
millions.
They're making bank,
Yo,
yeah.
they're rolling in it. They're
oh
buying
my god.
Benzes and Beamers and shit.
It's so true. Like Jenna Marbles, she's been like a huge YouTube personality for a long time, and she is like loaded. Like she does not have to worry about anything.
It's crazy though, because you'd think that they'd make more money, because you look at these major TV programs and they get what, like 1 million views or whatever. And then I think about Joe Rogan podcast all the time, because he gets like 3 million downloads an episode, and it's like, how is he not making as much as these major networks are? Because he is literally getting more people listening to him than people watching 6 o'clock news.
It's true. More people are tuning in, and they're choosing to.
So when is that flip gonna happen? When are we gonna totally cancel out cable? Because I don't have cable. I doubt you guys
I
have
don't have
cable.
No.
cable. Like my house at home does.
You
but
guys
like
don't even
up here,
spend
no.
time in the living room. You guys have cable. You guys definitely don't have cable. Yeah, do your parents have cable?
Yeah, they have cable.
Do your
But
parents?
like,
My parents got rid of cable when I was in the 6th grade. My stepdad was like, nope, we're not paying for this shit anymore. Nobody even likes any of the shows that are on. So he
So
just like,
funny.
this is like in like right around the time when
Yeah.
Netflix was $4, and I think it was $4, and we had like Hulu. Hulu was free. You could just like
Hulu
watch.
was free back in the day.
Yeah, you
What?
could just watch, but the only shows were like Bewitched and Dick Van Dyke Show.
Well, you
so like,
still
was
loved it then,
I
right?
loved it. I fucking loved Dick Van Dyke. I watched the whole thing, but it was like not mainstream TV shows, and I don't think they were creating their own shows at that time either. So I don't know, but yeah, we
Different
just
ballpark now.
yeah. So I haven't had cable for like most of my life.
It's crazy. This is our generation. We're gonna take control of media. So going back, if I'm just curious about, because it's a very interesting topic that I don't know I can totally understand, being as I am not female. You know what I mean? But I think, and we talked about it last podcast, because I believe that I don't want to use like so much, but
I say like a lot.
yeah, whatever. Don't even worry about it. I believe that it is weighs heavily on the female population, but it also can be I don't even know how to word it. It can also weigh on the male population too. So it's like I feel like I'll understand that more, but there's different catalysts that come with using social media as a woman in today's society, I guess.
Well, from like the research we found, because they tested both genders and stuff.
Yeah.
And they found like it was more relevant in females than it was in
which
males.
makes sense,
And
right?
I don't know if it's just maybe females use social media more or what the factor is, but with like the algorithms now on like Instagram, if you like a photo of like some skinny model, she's going to show up again and again and again in different ones. So you're just going to constantly see it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's a totally other subject.
Yeah,
too,
yeah, no, it is a different subject, like the way that social media works like that. But
because
but
it's
it
like
is
a
true.
vacuum.
What you're saying is true. Like I don't know. On my Instagram Discover page, it's just random shit. Like maybe people I might know, but like Chris's Instagram Discover page is literally asses. It's just all
That's
asses.
so
like,
funny.
like every time. And I mean, I'm not mad. They're nice asses.
Yeah, good for you.
I wouldn't be mad if I was him and I was getting
Yeah.
asses all over my Discover page. But it's very true that like it just like shits out more of the same stuff that you're looking at.
And that goes into the whole topic about how Donald Trump got elected in the U.S. and it's like, but it's just a thought. You get trapped in the vacuum. It goes not asses, but if you like something that's done by MSNBC or whatever, it's totally different than Fox News. You're not going to get any Fox News suggestions. You're going to get MSNBC suggestions. And if you're liking skinny model chicks on Instagram, you're not going to get any suggestions for PETA or
Yeah, like you're not gonna get anything
Yeah,
intellectual.
exactly.
You're just gonna get fed the same stuff. Yeah,
no, exactly, or something of a
yeah.
different.
You stay within your like small environment.
So what was more relevant within females, like emotional disturbance?
Well, they just rated themselves on a like that they were worthless and
Based on their interaction with
social media and stuff. Or they said like social media had a bigger impact in their lives, and compared to the guys, I didn't read the full journal yet, but it's just the guys wasn't that relevant to it.
Now, why do you personally think that is?
I don't know. I just think I don't know if there's like I don't want to sound wrong or anything, but maybe
Whatever,
like
man.
girls
We
just
make
like
mistakes.
interpreted the images, or they get like so caught up in it, and they have like more conversations on social media because they found that like Facebook messages are more important than like your feed. So I don't know if that plays a factor.
I wonder, because I was thinking the same thing. Like, I think that part of the reason we maybe don't see it as much in men or in like young men right now is because if you look at like the things that your friends who are dudes post, it's not constant selfies. Whereas like
Some of them,
some of them, but
we
it's,
make fun of those.
exactly,
people.
it's not like
Yeah.
the majority, but most
Yeah.
girls, like especially on Instagram, like it's just like post after post after post of them looking like full makeup and like filters, and they like take
Little
photos
ass,
of them. Yeah, they're like
little-
little bikini ass pictures.
up on the counter, you know, when your one cheek is on the counter and the other, you know what I'm talking
You
about.
pop the hip up on the
Yeah.
couch. Yeah, no. So I wonder if it's like partially because you're like surrounded by, you're being constantly like fed back by also your like in group. Like it's not just the Discover page, it's the people who you know. I mean, you are like the sum of the people you surround yourself with, right?
Yeah.
So if you're constantly surrounded by other girls looking hot as fuck, it may not be what they actually look like in real life. Who the fuck knows? But I mean, it's just what you see all the time. So you start to think, why am I not looking like that? And or like, what do I have to do to make myself look like that?
And do you think that also relates back to society and the way that women find value within themselves versus men? Because that's kind of what I look at. It's women in the past have looked at themselves as superficially like that's where the value lies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where quote unquote where the value lies is in a superficial look, and men have a different outlook. It's less, it's still superficial, but it's not physical appearance. Like what I worry about is like, oh, I want to be successful so I can raise a family and be good enough for that. And I feel like, I don't know because I'm not a woman, but I feel like the same thought process happens, but more physical. And it's not like I don't have thoughts about my physical appearance, right?
Yeah,
But
everyone does.
exactly, but it's weighed differently. If you looked at the pie chart between genders, I think it would weigh way differently.
Yeah, and I think for dudes there are more ways to define yourself as successful, whereas for women there's like, you can be successful in your career, you can be a successful like mother and wife, and in both of those cases you also have to be attractive.
True.
Like it's a part of your success.
But like you can't be both is what I noticed in like my sociology classes.
Yeah.
Is like you can be a woman with like a career, or you can be a woman with like as a mother, but you can't have both.
Yeah.
Like pick the one you want. You either be
Strange.
successful in one or you're successful in the other, but you can't be great in both.
But why not?
I don't know. It's just, I think it also comes down to like government and like maternity leave, and like I feel like a lot of women might fear going on maternity leave because when you get back, you don't have the same job. You didn't get the chance to be promoted and stuff. Whereas,
and you're out of the loop. Like, I mean, you come back after 9 months of maternity leave or a year of maternity leave, sometimes 2 years. Like, sometimes women take more than a year off because, you know, you want to be there for the fundamental, like, development of your child.
or childcare you can't afford.
You can't
and
afford
stuff.
childcare. Yeah,
True.
many things. But you get back, there's like a board meeting. You're all sitting there, and everyone around you is like shooting the shit, talking about some funny thing that happened like 2 weeks ago, and you have no idea. Like you're just like, like haven't been here for this much time. It's like you're the new guy all over again.
And you're probably so emotionally attached to that child that you just
Yeah, your brain's like elsewhere too.
managed to push through your body.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I feel like it would happen to men as well if men took like paternity leave. Like if you just had, if you're a dude and you take a bunch of time off instead of your wife, like she goes back to work, you go home and you spend a year or 2 years with your like baby. You go back to work, you're gonna miss that kid a fucking lot. You're gonna be like, oh, I used to just get to sleep in and cradle you all day. Like,
But there's some weird stigma where like guys don't feel the need to take
It is a
paternity
weird
leave.
stigma, and I'll be very honest about it because I totally think it is, because it's happening more often that I think this is a very misogynistic view that I have, to be totally honest, is my goal would be to be the breadwinner, right? So it's like I'll feel like less of a man if my wife is taking care of the entire family. I mean, I'll be at home with my kid, but there's a stigma, and it is a stigma, and that definitely pertains to me 100%. I want to change that because I don't think that's right, especially going forward with how many just examples of women having more of a, I don't know, just better off professionally than men, and just more successfully in that, and that needs to be okay, and that's a stigma that needs. But I personally feel like I'll be less of a man if that is not my role.
Yeah,
Tell me why that's wrong.
No, I
Tori.
feel like it speaks. I feel like it speaks volumes about how we view like curating the family. Like it's not seen as something that's like that takes effort and that is a marker of success. If you stay home and take care of your kid, that's just as important as you going out and making money to provide for your kid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like our society just doesn't see it that way. Anybody could stay home and take care of a kid. Babysitters do it all the time. But there's a lot more that goes into it. You just don't see it, right? I don't know. I think it's a very like strange topic how our society deals with like early childhood care.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's not something that's like I don't know how
like early childhood care in terms of the mother taking, or like who takes care of it, or
who takes care of like a young kid? Because I mean, a lot of people think that it's perfectly okay for both parents to go back to work right away and put their kid into like preschool or whatever, or like young, like early childhood care systems, but you're still missing like a different connection because those parents don't like those people to parent their kids. They want them to like teach them how to
True.
be successful, but they don't want them to parent their kids. And then where does that get taught if you're both working all the time?
That's true. And there needs to be a connection that is built between the parent and the child, whether it's the mother or the father. There needs to be some connection because have you heard of like babies that are born in hospitals without parents? They'll die if they don't get touched. Like if they don't get held by another
Like the
human.
skin to skin
yeah,
connection.
like they'll die. So there needs to be that connection. And so how do we figure that out? How do we kind of it's a hard question I'm asking because I have no idea. But it's like
it is hard to reconcile like how to take care of kids because they're the future, but also be building a foundation for them to create their future. Do you know what I mean? Like you need to be successful in your job so you can show them what success is, but you also need to be a part of their lives. And like, how does anybody have time for everything? But I think I just think it takes a village, right? It takes a village to raise a child.
Very
So
good point.
you just need to know who else can be influential in your kid's life and like take advantage of that.
And you need to let them free a little too,
Yeah.
right? Enough with this helicopter parenting
Oh,
that people are
my
doing
God.
because it ruins it, right? And we're kind of coming up into a whole generation of kids that were taught by helicopter parents that have just no balls. Just
no idea how to navigate adulthood. Like
nothing. Just totally
They can't even like
spoon-fed.
boil water and stuff.
And it's crazy, and that's another problem. It's like what's the balance between how much do you think there's like a lack of education when it comes to parenting? Do you think people need to be educated more, like within maybe not public school systems or like, but through communities, how to parent?
I think it's hard to say, but I know there's this quote actually from Writer's Craft in our high school.
Yeah.
You know how we had these quotes
Mr.
that they would
O'Toole.
put on the wall like
Shout
all the
out
time?
to Mr.
Yeah.
O'Toole.
Shout out to Sean O'Toole. He's
Legend.
literally the best. But they would post like these quotes from real students, like Writer's Craft pieces all over the high school. And one of them like has never stopped resonating with me. And it was just, a fatherless father cannot teach the lessons he was never taught. Or can never teach the lessons can never teach the lessons he didn't learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a big part of it. Like if you don't have parents who teach you how to be good parents, like if you had great parents, you're going to be a great parent because you saw what that is and you became a good person because of your parents.
You think that's 100%?
I think that's the only place that people learn how to be a parent right now.
But I feel like some people, they have like crappy parents and then they end up being like these great parents because they
In
don't want to
spite
be
of it.
anything
because
like theirs.
you learn what to do and what not to do too,
Yeah.
right? From different angles.
Yeah.
That's true. But I don't think there's anywhere else that you learn where to be a parent than from your own parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like
Be
you
a
could have
parent specifically, or be like a good person.
um
And is there much is there differentiate? Do you need to be a good person in order to be a good parent, or can you be a shitty person and be a good parent?
I don't think you can be a shitty person and be a good parent.
No, I don't
I've
think
never
so
seen
either.
it in
Yeah,
my own life. Like I've
true.
never seen a
Yeah.
shitty person who's a great parent.
True.
Like, but I've seen a lot of shitty parents who are shitty people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's like,
I don't know.
yeah, it's hard to say. Like,
I guess it depends on how you define parenting.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's some parents that are like, I just need to be a financial resource and then they can figure it out. Or some are like, doesn't matter how much money I have as long as I'm like emotionally supportive and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So I don't know.
Both are very important.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, God bless my mother. She didn't have. We talked about my mom on the left, I guess, but she didn't have much money. But I cannot tell you how much she helped me grow emotionally.
yeah, I mean, same. Like I owe a lot to my mom, especially because she's just like a very empathetic person. I always used to make fun of her because she would literally cry at anything. Like,
Yeah, you pussy.
there would be like a kind of sad commercial, and mom would be like getting all teared up,
What
and
the
I'm like,
fuck are you doing, Mom?
But I honestly think that I would be like a heartless, like stone bitch if I didn't have my mom to teach me like how to have those like really like be compassionate for other humans, because I don't think it's something that you just have. Not all people just have.
That's
Not all people just have.
That's a totally. So you think morality is taught?
To a certain extent.
True.
I think there are some people who need to be taught.
Yeah, there's some people who need to be taught, and there's some people who need to be hit. Straight up. So, what about Give me an example of like your guys. It doesn't have to be a personal example of you, but like examples that you've seen throughout your life of how social media affects the mentality of a young woman. Because I think this is a huge topic, because we've never seen suicide rates like they have been. We've never seen depression rates, anxiety. The people are taking pills for everything because they're anxious, they're depressed, they're all this shit.
Yeah.
And how much can we attribute those feelings to the fact that we have all these asses on our suggested Instagram page?
I don't know if there's like some phenomena going on, but like for some reason a lot of people attribute like likes to their worth. Like if you don't get a certain amount of likes on a photo, you're not cool enough or whatever.
Yeah, you're
for
not
some
good
reason.
enough.
Yeah.
What's the rationale behind that? It makes sense to me, but there needs to be a conscious effort of you saying, okay, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you look at your Instagram page and you're like, okay, 100 likes, sweet, but that is not me. Like looking at yourself in the mirror, like
Exactly.
that is not me. That is not how I base myself, and that is not where my value lies in what other people think.
Yeah.
So I get it, because I get the feeling too, right? Like you're looking through, even with the podcast, it's like you go look, oh, there's like a couple extra views. It's like, oh yeah, that feels good, right? Like you feel it, but then you need to like consciously subtract that from your actual being, which is hard. And
It is hard.
and it sounds simple and it sounds easy and it sounds like common sense, but I feel like there's a lot of people, probably the majority at least, that don't do that.
I feel like what I was going to say before is like a lot of it goes into the fact, I think that I mentioned this in our last podcast, the fact that we spend, especially our generation and like the ones to come, because we grew up with social media. So we spent a lot of the fundamental part of our life where we were searching for our identities, also creating a facade on social media. So you create this profile and then that is who you are. Rather than like spending time like fucking up and being like, oh, I should not wear neon. Neon is not a good idea. But you don't get to make those mistakes and like figure out who you are organically, because it's on the internet and it's permanent.
Away from the eyes.
Away, yeah, exactly. Like if you decide like, I don't know, I'm going to be like a goth, like you have to commit to that, because I don't know if you actually have to, but I think that
you have to commit to being a goth.
I think
Like,
maybe
you gotta
if you're
wear
goth.
all black. You can't
true,
have
it's
some
true.
pink pants and like you're
Yeah.
not goth. man.
Yeah, you're not goth.
You're half goth.
You give me rainbow
Yeah,
goth.
exactly. It doesn't work like that.
But I mean, you could be.
You'd
I'm
be shunned
sure.
by the community, though.
It's true. It's true. They're like, what the fuck are you
you're
doing?
not a part of it. You're not a
But
part
yeah,
of it.
you don't. I think that you choose what is going to be your in group, and then you just you organically try and figure out how you fit into that in group and what makes you special. But because of social media, you like decide, okay, I'm going to be like a preppy person, or I'm going to be really sporty, and then you just have to keep validating that identity on the internet. And then if you say something that doesn't really fit in with your like group, and they're like want to shun you because you're goth and you wear rainbow, it's out there forever, like on the internet. So you don't want to make a mistake. So you just like stay safely in your like identity that you've carved out.
The validation of identity. See, that's very interesting, because I never connected those two, but I guess it's exact. I've definitely had that feeling, and we've had that conversation with Chris Carnuff and you last time you were here about a friend of ours. Like validation of his identity. It didn't have to do with social media, but you could see how much of his life that controlled the validation of that identity.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting concept. I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it like that anyway. But what about these girls who are, we were talking about YouTube stars making a shit ton of money. What about these Instagram models who are posting their ass and they're making a shit ton of money?
They're getting paid to
They're
like
getting paid.
sponsored like
But they're getting paid
gummy
to be
bears.
sexy, right? Like that's a
Yeah.
real thing. Like that's a real thing,
So
right?
maybe they're like attributing like success to sexiness for some reason.
I feel like it's not a bad thing. And one good thing about social media, one constructive thing, is that there's a lot more representation. So there's like a lot of sexy, big ladies, like who are like, like plus size, quote unquote, models, but they're literally just normal people who also are sexy. Like any body shape can be sexy.
I saw a ridiculous thing today, and it was like, it was a plus size model or whatever, but she looked like a normal human being, but she was technically plus size
because she was larger than a size 4 or size 2.
I guess so. I don't know. She looked like a normal human being to me. I was like, what the fuck? That's what I'm saying. I was like, what the hell is happening? Because it doesn't make sense to me. Personally, I don't find super skinny models attractive. I don't know. I've never really met a dude who really does.
Yeah.
But
at the same time, like, they must, because that's just what's perpetuated constantly in the media.
I don't know, because I kind of goes into this thing where I think, from my perspective, girls do it for girls.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's my perspective, is you guys try to outcompete each other. Guys don't really care for the super skinny, you know what I mean? But you guys try to outcompete each other. Mm-hmm. And I saw some girl from Muskoka who made a Facebook status about that exact thing. It's like, I will no longer be putting down women who are successful, and like, and I feel like it happens a lot. I'm not throwing the blame on you guys, because it's definitely not all women, but it's like that's a part of the picture, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say before when I was talking about how on Instagram, like, you're surrounded by all of your friends who are also posting selfies or whatever, right? And it is this like idea of competition, because there's this weird thing with women where, like, I know it happens to me. If I know I'm going out with a bunch of dudes, like, if I'm just going to hang out with like Chris and all of his friends, I'm like, I don't give a shit what I look like. I mean, I want to look kind of hot, but if I look like a bag of dicks, who cares? Like, but if I'm going out and there's like, if I'm meeting somebody, like Sam, the first time I met Sam's girlfriend, who's like one of our mutual friends,
you're like,
this girl's a makeup artist and like stunning. I'm like, okay, I gotta look not like a piece of shit. Like,
you gotta lower the contrast.
Like, I was like, I gotta fucking put some eyelashes on today or something. But it's weird that like you're like my own mentality changes, and it's something like I try and recognize all the time. I'm like, okay, don't be competitive, because girls can be your friend. Like, you don't have to be the best one.
You're being very honest about that, and that's good, because I totally think it's true. Because when you're looking at the Instagram likes or whatever, you look at your 100 likes, and then let's say an example, Sam's girlfriend, on a picture she has 250 likes. You'd be like, that bitch.
Yeah, you're like, you want to hate her, you're like, fuck you. Yeah, I don't know why. There is something competitive within like just girls.
Well, and when you take a selfie for Instagram, you never just take one, you take 50 plus or a lot of people do take multiple photos, because you have to put the best one out there so you can get the most likes, because Jane down the street got 400 likes. You have to get that. And plus, you don't want to be that odd friend in your friend group that
literally is the ugly one, like, because you didn't get enough likes. Like, it doesn't actually have to do with how you look or how you present yourself. You can be the coolest person. But just like appearance
wise, when all your friends are standing up to like next to each other, you don't want to be that one friend that looks
significantly worse. Yeah, it's true. It's the same thing. Like, if you're going out with all your friends and you think everybody's just like, we're just having a chill day, you show up in your sweatpants and everybody looks like fucking good, and you're like, well, I didn't do anything with myself today.
Yeah, well, I gotta go
shittiest.
home.
Yeah, you're like, oh well, or you just like
take a shower.
You just like accept the fact that you're gonna be the shittiest looking one for the day, and that's it. But it's weird, because I feel like in real life, if you go out with a group of friends, nobody like looks at you like, well, that's the hottest one, that's the ugliest one, and then the rest of them are all in the middle. Like, nobody actually evaluates a group of people like that.
It's all perspective too,
It
right?
is.
Like, well, like I was saying, I don't find these skinny model, so everybody's gonna have a different eye for attraction.
Yeah.
It's just it's crazy, because I don't really understand it, because I do, but I don't, because I'm not a part of that world. I obviously care about how I look, but I don't value. I know some women who value themselves purely based on what kind of dude they can get.
Yes.
See, and I totally think that's an issue, because like I guess there's dudes who do it like in the suburbs with their trophy wives and this bullshit, right? But
I know, I feel like that's not a thing that still happens. I feel like that's like a very like 50s 60s thing, but it totally is a thing that still happens. You just like I feel like it's less it's still just as obvious, but it's less prevalent maybe.
It's so weird, eh? What a
But
weird
it's a real
dynamic.
thing. It's a real thing.
What a weird dynamic when you meet someone who I was having this. There's this like Rogers. I don't know what his name is. I forget his name. I want to put him on blast right now, but he was some Rogers like radio guy, and he came with his wife. He was this like super weird guy, like not normal, you could tell, but smart. And then his wife came, just hot blonde hair, just like Lululemons on, like 15 years younger than him. I was like, oh, that's a weird dynamic you got going on there. Strange.
It's so true. It's like Don McLean, like American
Who's
Pie.
Don McLean?
American Pie, the song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was
Can
like,
you sing it
please,
for me
no,
for a
please,
sec?
no, please do
Sing it for
not.
a
No,
second.
I'm just gonna not. I'm just gonna not. I think it's probably best for everyone
I
involved.
want to remember the melody. I forget the melody.
No.
It's about the
I don't
levee.
think I'll help you. Yeah, that's right. You know what song I'm talking about. So
okay.
that guy,
Yeah.
I don't think me singing it is gonna help you understand what the melody
I
of the
just
song
really
is.
wanted you to sing it.
I know, but I'm just not gonna. Me singing is like a candid thing.
Yeah, but it'll be fun, man.
No, okay, getting past this. He is like 72, 75. He's old as fuck. And he's got this like 21
Who,
year
the
old.
guy who sung the song, sorry?
Yeah,
Okay.
that artist. He's like a pretty amazing artist, but he has this like 21-year-old huge titty blonde bombshell wife, and you're just like,
That's why you get famous, dude.
there's literally,
That's why you get famous. I don't know.
and you're just like, I mean, love is love, and they could be in love with each other, and that's
Okay, I doubt
but
it.
Isn't that just
I
like
agree.
Donald Trump with his wife too? Just flat out.
It's true, but I feel like Melania is like a little bit closer in age. How old's Melania?
I think Melania is 40 and DT Donnie Boy is like 75.
Yeah.
He's close to 75,
But
74,
still,
73.
look wise though.
Oh yeah,
she's-
you can tell that there's like
She's a fucking supermodel and he's Donald Trump.
he
I
literally
don't know
is
it.
like has translucent hair.
Yes.
Fuck yeah, no. I feel like it's a real thing.
So, but I'm curious about your thoughts on this. We just had a conversation, and it's like, what do you think about? Because there's also a phenomenon going on of like sugar babies and sugar daddies.
Oh yeah,
But-
were we just talking
I
about
feel like
this?
we were talking
yeah.
about this the
But
other
yeah,
night.
that's such a real thing. And my thought, I used to be like, oh, that's so. But I mean, that was probably me just being jealous about the chicks these dudes could get. You know what I mean? That was why. I just don't know where to firmly stand on this position because I think the women should be able to do whatever they want, right? Like you should be able to do that if you want. You should
Fuck
be
yeah.
able to go suck a really old wiener.
Some fucking saggy ass balls. Get your keep, make your keep, girl. You know.
If you want to, but you should be able to do that if you want to. And I think it's probably a fair transaction too, right? There's a transaction happening there. It's not like that's just how you're getting something for that. Mm-hmm. But it's like, does that hurt how much value that woman is putting on herself?
I feel like I have a very conflicting view
Yeah, this
on
is-
like call girls, prostitution, and sex work as a whole. I think that I think that it is a good thing that women should be able to do whatever they want, but if you're exploiting your own body, like if you're reinforcing this horrible stereotype of women that we've been trying so hard to get past, and you're just like taking advantage of that because it's the easiest thing for you to take advantage of, like I don't know how I feel about that, but at the same time,
But then their argument, if I was a skinny, hot model chick and I was sucking some old dude's dick, I'd be like, this is what feminism wanted,
Exactly,
right? This is what
exactly.
we wanted, is to be able to do whatever we want.
exactly. So that's why I have a very like conflicting view on it. I don't really know how I feel about it altogether.
It's hard. I personally think the prostitution should be legal.
Prostitution is legal. It's illegal to buy a prostitute,
Oh,
Yeah.
true.
which I think
So
is
what does that mean?
a very good thing because like women should not be like persecuted.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at the point where like I think there's a difference between being a call girl and a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when you've reached a point in your life where there is nothing left for you to sell or use but your body,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be subjected to like prison for that. Do you know what I mean? Like you've been dropped at the bottom of society. You have nothing left.
It's like imprisoning someone for an addiction, right?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So
There's something bigger going on than what actually is. Yeah.
exactly. And it took a long time for us to get past like charging prostitutes for prostitution and instead charging the men who buy prostitutes
Yeah.
for buying prostitutes.
True.
But I think it's a really important thing that we have going on. I think it shows a lot of how our society's come a long way from where it used to be.
But what's your opinion on it? Like of like young women being willing to go through
Suck
the
an old dick.
go through the, you know.
Well, as long as they're over 18, I feel like
This is very
not
true.
a
This is
because
important.
I found
Good
out
point.
that there's
Disclaimer.
I feel,
Yes.
but there are still states in the United States where child marriage is still legal. Like
Yeah.
you're still allowed
Fucked.
to marry a 14-year-old against her will or his will and stuff. So I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But I also have a problem trying to figure out how it's actually a relationship and stuff. Like, I don't know. I feel like a relationship, you also have to be able to carry a conversation. And there'd be such a generation gap. Like, what the heck do you talk about?
Yeah, it seems to be nothing, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's the thing for me too, is I've never seen a functioning relationship in that manner with those parameters that are blossoming like this flower right here, almost blossoming relationship. It's just
a transaction.
it's purely a transaction.
It's interesting. I was listening to a podcast recently about this girl was talking about her friend who's a call girl in Toronto.
What?
I
podcast is
can't
this?
remember which one. I was listening to it at work, so I think it may have been. I was listening to this podcast called True Stories, maybe.
True stories. Yeah.
I think so. And it was just this girl talking about her friend who was a call girl. And she ended up like starting to work for her friend who was the call girl, answering phones because she was literally so busy like going out with these guys that she didn't have time to answer the phone and coordinate the next meetup.
So was this chick pimping for her friend?
Not pimping for her. Like this call girl had a
Yeah.
pimp. Like she had like a
Okay.
sugar daddy who would like
Okay.
pay for shit,
Yeah.
like bought her nice stuff. But she also was a call girl. People would just like hit her up and she'd be like, yeah, meet me at this restaurant. We'll go out for, you have like an hour
Yeah.
with me, whatever. And there was this one guy who would call every day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And he literally was just lonely. He didn't ever have sex with this girl. He just needed companionship. And this was the only way that he could get it, which I think is so sad, first of all. But it also like it shows that there are different dynamics of sex work than what we usually like attribute to it.
So it's not just quote unquote sex work. It's
Yeah,
just work.
like people, yeah. It's just a different commodity that you're
Yeah.
selling.
That is super sad. Someone who doesn't have anything that needs to call like a prostitute, be like, just hang out with
Just
me.
hang out with me, yeah. Please. And yeah, he would just get with her and be like, yeah, I bought you like this box of chocolates, like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like he was just lonely. He had no
Yeah.
friends. And it happens in big cities. If you don't know anyone and
Yeah.
you go into a workplace and you don't make friends right away, it's hard to make friends after that, after you've been working. You pass like a threshold where you like have become like an outsider and then you're just alone. It's sad that like
It's sad, but it's true. There's so much connection. There's also disconnection at the same time.
yeah.
So what do you guys think about what? Obviously, you guys aren't immune to the whole social media affecting your psychology, right? But what has helped you cope and like kind of pushed you past valuing yourself based on the reaction you get over the internet? Like what was the mental battle that you had to go through?
Mm-hmm.
And what was the answer you gave to yourself?
I don't know.
I think for me, like a big part of it is
Sorry,
was
and
growing up.
is it still a
is
constant
it still
battle?
yeah. I think
It's definitely still a constant battle.
it's
I'd
easy to
say.
give in to this like
Yeah.
weird like naive part of you that just like wants to be
Mm-hmm.
I just
I don't
kind of
know.
like shut it off, and you're just like whatever. But like when you upload it and you're getting those notifications that like your likes are going up, you're like, oh okay, cool, yeah, awesome.
Kind of turns into this obsessive thing where you're like, oh,
You're scrolling to see
refreshing
if you
the
got another
page.
like, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a battle, but like I don't know. I don't know what I tell myself. I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Or
Do you
sometimes
know
I'm like,
how
great,
you
I
got
did
to
good.
that point?
No, I don't care that much. I think that's kind of just where I'm at. Is like honestly just could care less.
Do you think you were ever a slave to social media though? Like, do you think you ever had to overcome only getting validation from social media?
No, I was never really one that was obsessed with social media. Like, no one in my family, we never really used it and stuff. But I have friends that are like constantly on their phone. And
Do you have a strong family like background?
Yeah, we're all pretty. It's a big family, but we're pretty close.
Pretty tight.
Yeah, but like I'll go out with like my friends and stuff, and they'll be on Snapchat, and they have all these like 200, 300 day streaks, and they're like, I gotta send this so I keep my streak. Or they've complained to Snapchat that they've lost their streak and they need it back.
Jesus,
or they obsess over the likes, and I honestly don't have the time of day to care about it.
So those friends that you have, do you feel that they don't have such a strong family background?
Or role models in
or
general?
role models in general. That's a good point.
Yeah, some of them like don't have siblings.
Yeah.
Or they have siblings, or and they're older. There's bigger age gaps and stuff. I don't know. I also don't think they have enough hobbies. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like
they don't have...
when you have other stuff to do, you don't have time to open your phone and check it, or you're worrying about something else. If you've got nothing going on, that's when you start obsessing over
all
likes.
Likes.
It's
and
like
all
the
the
only
bullshit
thing that you do
that you're
all the
in.
time.
Ew, what
Yeah,
a
like,
sad reality.
yeah.
Ooh, I can't imagine, man. Like, ooh.
I don't know. Like,
And you saying that, even that's the only thing you do, you can so easily see how that just slowly creeps into such a depressive and anxiety filled life. If that is exactly like you said, it's like that's your identity. You're confirming that with your identity. And once your identity is totally attached to that, once you get half the likes that you did before, you are half the person.
yeah.
Woo.
I don't know if like your friends do this, but like before, a lot of my friends, I've never done it, but my friends, we have this group chat from high school, and they'll send in their selfies, like 5 or 6, and they're like, which one should I post?
And what should my caption be?
Yeah.
Wait, should I use this filter? Like, oh, fuck yeah, that's such a real thing. That's
Yeah.
so...
Okay, it's
that
not
is
just
not
my group.
something that dudes do at all, I don't think.
Wait, what?
We will like get with our like friends who are girls and be like, oh, look at this. These are the pictures that I have as options to post. Which one should I choose?
Yeah, me
what
and
should my
Luke
caption
do that
be?
all the time. Like, oh my god, this caption is totally gonna make me look like a bad bitch.
Yeah, no, but that's actually a real thing. That's a real thing.
And everyone comments are like hot, cute, hot, and stuff, and then you like number three, picture number
Which
3.
is the weirdest thing because you will have
Sorry.
you'll have a friend who you literally just you have a friend who you literally just showed a picture to and they like helped you. They're like, yes, that's a good caption. Like post that right now. Right after they'll go and comment on it like they've never seen it before. It's a weird like solidarity that women have. Like
It's putting on it's playing a role. It's playing a game. There's a
it's
facade going on.
Exactly, it's the facade.
Ooh.
Which is so weird. I don't know. Did you ever know that was a thing that girls did?
What, like the caption? I've definitely been in like situations where like I see two females like plotting like they're about to nuke Russia, but really they're just about to put an Instagram cap like, no, not that one. We have to attack from this way. Like that's definitely something I've seen. I definitely have not had that experience in my life.
Oh yeah, before a girl posts a selfie, I think like 6 other girls have seen it and already voiced their opinion on it.
Usually.
Well, you know, but
Yo,
will they ever tell you that it's a shitty picture?
No, I've never said it. And there's times where I've seen the photo, I'm like, I wouldn't post that
You're
one.
like, but you're like, oh,
But you're still
yes,
like hot,
yeah.
yes.
You're like, yes, girl, get it. Like, no. It's like,
Yes, queen.
yeah, literally. Yo, I've been watching so much RuPaul's drag show right now.
What is that?
You've never heard?
No.
Okay, RuPaul is like the most legendary drag queen ever. And you know, like America's Next Top Model?
Okay.
So RuPaul like went and made RuPaul's Drag Race, which is just like America's Next Top Model for drag queens, and it's so good. Like,
Why?
It's
Just because of the eccentric personalities that
I
brings
love
out?
drag culture is like a whole different part of the world that you don't ever experience until you've experienced it, and you're just like, whoa.
Why is that such a women thing more than a man thing?
I feel like dudes who embrace drag,
Yeah.
they've come a long way in terms of their comfortableness with their sexuality.
Yeah, true. My brother embraces drag. He's 24.
Like, does he do drag, or he likes
No,
drag shows?
He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody be themselves. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's fun.
exactly.
I feel like there's the guys that still haven't like accepted it, or like with drag and stuff. They're still the ones that are saying like no homo. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
it's cool, but like no homo.
Pause. See, I feel like I make a lot of gay jokes, and people get uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Dudes get uncomfortable.
Yeah, I
it's
feel like
like-
there's a lot of dudes who are not comfortable.
I just want to
with...
suck your dick, man. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, you're
looking
just kidding.
good today, bro.
Yeah, you're like just kidding. Yo, like most of my friends are gay. Like this is actually a really real thing. And
Like most of your female or male friends, or
female
just
and male friends. Like
Okay.
my best friend's gay.
Okay.
Her cousin's gay. One of her roommates is like most of my like close friends are
Yeah.
are gay.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just like never even like thought twice about it. But
Mm-hmm.
then sometimes you'll bring somebody into the conversation who's like not exposed to gay people
Mm-hmm.
at all, and they're just like they just are so caught off guard with how
Yeah.
these people they're just like
what do I say?
what do I say? Like, I don't want to be offensive, and
Yeah.
like I don't. It's just like as soon as they figure out what like where they're comfortable with gay people, they realize that gay people are just people who like having sex with different people than they like having sex
You
with.
just need
Like,
to make, I think it goes along with like the racism thing.
It
It's like
totally
you
does.
just need to make some friends and just need to have a couple conversations.
and
with
then you're
a
like,
couple
oh,
people.
you're actually just a normal human being.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I feel like that would solve 90% of those problems. 90,
So
95% of those problems. Just have some friends that are like in that circle and maybe be like, oh, I get you now because you're not
It's so
as
true.
foreign as I thought you were.
And you know, it goes back to the same thing we were talking about before with getting out of your like little comfort bubble. Like if you're just around people who have the same beliefs as you all the time, you never push yourself out. You don't understand anything else. I mean, if you're just surrounded by like a very homogenous group of people, like you're not going to understand what the other people who seem different than you are actually probably the same as you, just with different preferences or appearances.
But what a danger social media is, because we were just talking about it like an hour ago at the beginning of this, when how it's just this thought vacuum of just the same recurring thought patterns. Like how, and we're talking about how women and other people too, obviously, engage their worth in what that is, and we're so caught up with it. How do we like disassociate? I saw you formulating a thought there, Tori.
Thinking.
She was like putting the
I'm
words
just, like,
together.
Like I don't know if social media is actually as destructive in that way as you would think it is, because you could go and like a sports page. Say you are like a huge curling fan. You're like, I
Shit's
love
lit,
curling.
dude.
I did curling in high school.
That's the most Canadian thing
Yeah.
our podcast.
But so you join this group on Facebook or whatever. You like a couple of things in a curling group, and then you get exposed to people who are like from different races, different backgrounds, different cultures, different sexualities, and different gender orientations who also like curling. And you're like, oh, hey, maybe you are actually a cool person if you've never had experience
Yeah.
with people who are different from you.
Yeah.
So I think social media can be like useful that way
So is there a way to
to delete the like
yeah,
not
to
the bad
to
things.
keep the shitty stuff away? Because this whole social media thing, they all designed it. Chris, last time he was here, he was talking about, was telling me about some developer who worked for Facebook, and they said they programmed it like a slot machine. Like they programmed it so you would get a dopamine rush every time you flip
You
the refresh.
refresh,
And be like,
yeah.
oh, someone liked my picture. Oh my god. So it's like, how do we get control? I think it goes back to the being conscious about it.
Yeah.
So how do we spark that the importance of being conscious when thinking about how these decisions relate back to our actual lives?
And does regulation work? Like if you actually try and regulate social media,
No.
does it create
No.
that?
I don't think so.
I don't think it works. No.
Why don't you think it works?
Well, because like Facebook has flat out said that they try to like keep off some of like the negative
They
stuff
kicked
off of
ISIS
it.
out.
Like they try and it's just not going to work. There's like billions of people in this world. You can't regulate everything.
And so,
Like parents can't even regulate their own children using social media. Like parents are oblivious to what their kids are watching.
it's true.
Cuz who was that guy on YouTube who filmed someone killing himself? It was that Jake Paul guy. But like
no, it was his brother, Logan Paul.
okay.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of like
Same
12-year-olds watch that and parents don't even know their kids are watching that.
That's so true.
So, I don't
But-
think
I heard someone talking about how in order to protect the beautiful speech, you have to protect the ugly speech. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And once it turns, if Mark Zuckerberg or whoever runs whatever made the executive decision to be like, okay, we're going to ban this, then how quickly, that's a slippery slope to fall down, right? Because it's like, what do you determine as negativity? Because then it just goes back to the thing.
well,
we're
and
in
that
the
puts
same
you even
thought
more
bo-
into like a vacuum. How now, say they kicked off all like the conservatives and everything, then
No, exactly.
it's just gonna be a bunch of liberals, and you're not gonna get any.
There's gonna be
opinions.
no outside perspective.
Yeah.
There'll be no challenging. And when I feel like when you challenge ideas, that is when you create new ones, and that's when you refine the good ideas to even better ideas.
Yeah,
And it's like this whole thing about like, oh, stopping bullying.
yeah.
Like, what do you think about stopping bullying, Taurus? Taurus.
I've become astrology.
Tori Ellis, Taurus.
What did you ask me?
Okay, so we were talking about how it would be more in a thought bubble if Mark Zuckerberg was like, okay, we're cutting off this, this, and this, because then there's gonna be no perspective from anywhere other than his. And it's kind of like, I related it back to the stop bullying. It's like, you are never gonna stop bullying. There's always going to be bullies. You need to learn how to deal with the bullies. How are we going to learn how to cope with the bullies rather than saying, no, you can't bully?
I feel like it takes a balance, though. I think that's the biggest thing. Like we need to promote having a thick skin, but we also need to promote people not putting each other down. Like, don't be a bully. Like, teach people not to be bullies. And like, if you're insecure, probably you're gonna be a bully. Like, you know what I mean?
And it's hard for kids to understand that concept, though, because I think back to my brother, and he was a piece of shit to me back in the day. But he was a piece of shit because people were pieces of shit to him at school. You know what I mean? Like, he was bullied at school, so he brought it back to the house with him.
Exactly. The abuser or the abuse comes to abuser.
And no matter what, I don't think any 12-year-old is going to understand the psychology that goes along with that thought process, but it's going to happen regardless, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I really think that it takes balance.
Two, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we need to simultaneously teach people not to let bullies like be successful bullies, and also like we need to teach people if there's a bully, like, you need to be compassionate to them and try and figure out why they're bullying. Do you know what I mean? Like, get behind this mean person, and you probably will make a friend out
So
of them.
approach the situation with compassion.
Yeah, I think that's important too, because
I think that's the key to life.
that's the key to life.
No one bullies just for fun. There's always like a hidden problem going on and stuff. So
That's
Yeah.
true. That's very true. And someone might bully for fun, but there's still a hidden problem behind that bullying for fun. If
If that's your source of fun, there's something fucked
Yeah,
up going in there.
There's something happening.
Exactly.
Something's
to you.
wrong.
but then there are like a bunch of kids who I feel like will get called a name and they just start crying. And you're like, pull
You're
it
like,
together.
Come on. Like,
Yeah. And helicopter parenting doesn't help with that.
I was just going to say, it's always the helicopter parents' kids.
Yeah, like, it's all right. Here's an 8th place trophy. It's like, no. No. You got to win.
It's always the moms with like the short haircut. that
oh
always-
my
fun
god, the
ones.
worst, like the lawnmower back. Like, oh, I hate that. Fucking
No,
John
I
and
like
Kate
that
plus 8.
haircut. Yeah, I
Shut
like
up.
that. I like that.
There's no way
A
you're like,
fun, sporty mom. 4 kids.
no, that is the worst haircut. There's good, like, inverted bobs. Okay, my mom's a hairdresser. There's good
Your
versions
mom has
of
cut
that.
my hair before.
Oh,
Let's just
really?
Put that out there. That's
Oh,
a
shout out to my
history.
mom.
Shout out to Dora's mom. Say, is she still in Bracebridge?
Pardon?
She's still in Bracebridge?
Yeah, yeah.
Still at...
She's still, yeah, so she owns a business in Bracebridge called Majestic Hair Design. That's it.
Shout
Well,
out.
sponsored.
Shout out, sponsored by Majestic Hair Design. Your premium Muskoka haircuts.
But no, there are good versions of that haircut, and there are good versions of short, like pixie cuts, but there is a bad version of the in-between where the back's like shaved and like brown, and then the top's like blonde, and it like hangs over, kind of like gross. You know what I'm saying?
I see. This goes back to the thing. I'm not paying that much attention, but you guys are.
It's true. It's true.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so as a let's end it. It's been 66 minutes. Perfect time, I think.
Okay.
We'll do another one because it was fun.
Yeah.
But I tried to pry you guys. Because I do think it's such a fucked up problem that we have with social media and self-worth. That I don't know the answer personally because I'm not a part of that, and I don't think I'll ever know the answer because I truly don't understand. But what's your advice to someone who seems to battle with that? Because also disclaimer, I've also had plenty of my people where I feel like I've seen that seen the perspective of someone who totally bases their value on what other people think of them. And it's just so physical when it's social media. That's the thing. It's so real. It's not even like you're just assuming that someone, it's like those are likes. You're like, oh, I'm actually getting factual evidence about what people think about me.
I think it's important to realize that you'll get more joy out of life from doing so much more than just refreshing that photo.
I think that was beautifully put.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I think
That's
that was
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I think that you just got to dig a little deeper and figure out what makes you you instead of creating a version of you that other people like.
And
That's
it's so hard. It's so hard, and I get it.
Yeah, it's not easy, but like nothing good is easy.
Yeah, that's true. So stop helicopter parenting.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
fucking pussies. Okay. I appreciate both of you coming.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks
We'll
for
have
having
another
us.
one. Thanks for coming, Allison.
Thank you.
I appreciate you appreciating the conversation and wanting to be a part of it. That's all it's about.
Yeah.
And Tori Ellis, we'll see you soon.
Sounds good.